I get asked about residency interviews quite a lot. Um, so I'm going to share a story with you regarding my first interview. So I was preparing for my first interview. I was preparing my equipment. I set up my microphone. I set up my camera, my webcam, I remember. And my Wi-Fi was unreliable and I was super nervous. My palms were sweaty and my heart was racing. And my first interview was actually with one of the programs that I was planning to rank high. So countless thoughts whirled in my head, and it was my first experience with Zoom at the time. As I remember, Zoom was not as big as it is now, and I didn't have much experience with it, so super nervous overall. I clicked join meeting, and I entered the program coordinator's room, and I was at a complete loss. I did not know what was going on. She greeted me. I didn't know what program coordinator was, and I was just nervous. And when she greeted me, I was so anxious I almost failed to respond. And then, perhaps sensing my anxiety, she started asking me, making me more comfortable. She started asking me where I'm from, the time zone that I was interviewing at. And then I started feeling more calm. And then subsequently, I was directed into another room where I was greeted by a faculty member. And I remember that she was like an older lady. She was a primary care doc. She was super nice as well. But I was nervous and I was speaking rapidly. But one thing I would say is I prepared diligently for the 30 most common asked interview questions that I have in my book. By the way, if you haven't read my book, especially that part, you're missing out big time. And I felt comfortable after about 5 minutes. I felt at ease, more at ease, and the interview was going quite well actually. And then my dreaded fear, the Wi-Fi disconnected in my Zoom interview, disconnected abruptly. I felt disheartened and my heart sank. I was super nervous as well, and I called the program coordinator, told her that the Zoom meeting stopped. So this is like the biggest problem you can face, and I had it on my first interview. But the program coordinator was quite nice about it, and she set me up with an interview with the same interviewer. So I completed my interview that way. I pretty much shook it off and acted like nothing really happened, kept my smile, and finished the interview. I thought the interview went well. But that's the first hard lesson that I learned, and that set me up well for my next many interviews. So I'm grateful for that experience. But one of the things that I wanted to share about is when you're thinking residency interviews, people think that it's about CVs and accolades and all that. CVs and accolades are important to get you to the interview. They get you to that point. But once you're at the interview level, it's all about how you perform during the interview, right? So every interviewer is going to score the interviewee, which is you, out of 10. And as you know, these are human beings, and subjectivity is definitely a factor in the score that you get. So that's the most important thing that you need to understand. So I kind of have like tiers on how well an interviewer, an interviewee is doing. The first tier, everybody should do, and most people, 90% of people, got this in the bag, and that's the foundation: ensuring stable Wi-Fi, clear webcam, effective microphone, and quiet environment, and good background. These are like basic stuff, right? Everybody, 90% of people do this, and it's super important. You don't have to have the fanciest background, but you have to have a clear background with no distractions. And then also you have to invest in good equipment, good quality camera. Your voice should be heard. You shouldn't have any issues with that. Like tier 1, right? If you haven't got this in the bag, then you're setting yourself up for failure. And then the next tier is professionalism. As you know, medical field in general is one of the most demanding fields in terms of professionalism. So you have to be on time and punctual. And also, it's about avoiding contentious topics like religion, avoiding contentious topics like politics, sexuality, and gender, and all of that. Try to avoid all of that and try to focus on being professional, and try to focus on what got you to the interview. So that's tier 2, right? That's also something that most people do successfully. But then once we move to tier 3 and tier 4 is where it gets interesting. So I would say tier 3, only 20% of people do it correctly. And that's likability. So being likable is way more important to your interview performance than anything else that you might think of. And there are ways to be more likable. I'm pretty sure you've met people who are more likable when you meet them. Like everybody likes them, even though they don't know them that well. And there is an art to it, to likability. But I'll give you some hints. Whenever you go into the interviews, try to smile. That's very important. Try to smile, be grateful to be there, and be positive. When the interview starts, they greet you, greet them back, ask them how they're doing as well, and express your gratitude for giving you that opportunity to interview at their program, to invite you at their program, both at the start of the interview and at the end of the interview. Because let's be honest, they're giving you the opportunity to interview at their place. If they hadn't given you the interview, someone else would be in your spot. They have thousands of applicants and they chose you for a reason. So be grateful, express genuine interest in their program as well. As long as you're there to be interviewed, ask smart questions that show your interest in their program. So these are some of the things that make you likable. And of course, interviews are subjective. So if I like you, I'm going to score you higher. I don't care if you have 257 and the next person that I interview has 261. If I like you, I'm going to definitely give you a higher score. So accolades and CV take a back spot compared to likability, in my opinion, in interviews. And that's also what I confirmed after I started residency and started listening to some faculty members, program directors talk about these interviews. That's literally the most important factor. And then there's a fourth tier, more than likability, that can send you into a super saiyan level, basically. And that is charisma. So what do I mean by that? To be charismatic, the most important factor is know how to speak well, know how to clearly articulate your thoughts. And that is going to send you on another level. I'd say like less than 5% of applicants have this trait. And it's an important trait to have. It also contributes to likability as well. Like Jordan Peterson, for example, if you have listened to them talk, they speak in a convincing manner. It has its own art. So for most people, it comes easy, and for others, they need practice. So if you haven't got this in the bag, then what better time to start practicing than now, right? So that's the fourth factor: being charismatic, articulate, being able to tell stories, being able to articulate your thoughts, because medicine in its nature requires you to speak to patients, to communicate with their families, to communicate with other medical staff. So program directors and program faculty want to know that you can reliably speak to other people and express your thoughts. So that is also important. So that's the fourth tier. I just wanted to put this message out because I'm pretty sure by now you've heard lots of you've looked at lots of videos, but I haven't seen a video that really addresses this. Just want to make sure that you cover your grounds regarding these four factors. If you like this video, then share it with other people, and I'll see you in a different video.